Hey YouTubers, Electric Adventures here with a tag response video to MaximumRD's favourite Atari and Atari computer. Atari have had a lot of great units of each, and there's a lot to choose from in each category. So with the consoles, going back in the day, I didn't actually own an Atari 2600. My best friend had an Atari, the original Atari 2600 Woody, which is the one that I have in my collection over here. He gave it to me a few years back. So that's where I was first introduced to the Atari. Later on, I worked in I was lucky enough to work in a games store. They sold both board games, chess computers, and video games. And right up through the era where there was one importer in Australia called Futuretronics, right up until they went bust at the same time as the whole market collapsed around the infamous E.T. and Pac-Man phase. So I had a lot to do with that system and a couple of variants. So not really any of the more modern variants, like your 2600 Junior and things like that, because they came along later. So I would normally pick that, but at the moment I have, as I've started getting back into my collection, I got an Atari 7800. Now the great thing about the Atari 7800 is that it plays all of the 2600 games. So that's what, and the actual Atari 7800 games are really good games. They're all very playable. Not a big library, so it's possible to get a complete collection too. And you can still play all your Atari 2600 cartridges. So for the console, it's the Atari 7800, just by a nose. I mean, this is something that could go either way. Now for the computer. Now with the Atari computer, now I have Atari STEs, and I used to own an Atari Mega ST, but truly they are the days of Jack Tramiel, and that's not the real Atari. Same as the Atari, I've got an Atari XE as well, and that's not the true Atari. The true ones are either the Atari 400-800, which is the first era, or the Atari 600, 800 and 1200. Now I know a lot of people like the look of the XL series, so the 800, the 1200, 600. The 1200 was an enormous thing too, by the way, so and not very many of them around, whereas the 800 is sort of that perfect size. But I'm going to tend towards the one that I owned originally, which was the Atari 800 with a disk system, because those things were built like tanks, and really the Atari 800 XL didn't really add anything new. It's just in a new case, there's not really a lot of improvements. I mean, it does come with a bit more memory, of course, but you could expand the Atari 800. It had expansion slots in there for the memory, and all that shielding. But I mean, they're getting very rare to get one that's actually working nowadays. So I don't know whether I'll ever get one. I picked up an original Atari 400 recently, and I will try and pick up some of the XL models as they pop up, just because I do love the Ataris there. So I suppose at the end of the day, my answer is the original Atari 800. Alright, now make sure you check out MaximumRD's channel. He does a lot of interesting tag questions, so you might want to check him out and see some of his other tag videos, and check them out and do some responses yourself. Alright, thank you very much. This is Electric Adventures, and I'll catch you next time.